All right, no countdown, huh? We just start?
I was gonna put a countdown on there, but we definitely don't have to.
Yeah, are we live?
Yeah, we're live. We're on. Normally
Let me
it takes
see, are we live?
to go.
Let me go look on X and see if we're live.
We should be. It says we're live.
I know, but there's still something amazing about just like still confirming that the input that you're giving from your computer is actually going on the entire internet. You know what I mean?
That's crazy how the internet works.
It's still pretty powerful.
We should talk more about that.
What's that?
I said we should talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean,
get it because domains are the reason the internet works.
Let me see where. So if I go to my thread, hold on, I'm on my profile.
If you guys want to like and retweet the space, that'd be great. Dad, did you know if you streamed through your channels?
I tried to. It kept saying that my channels were already signed up. So then it wouldn't let me be on them, but I don't see them. So hold on a second. Hold, please.
Okay.
Let's see. No, let me refresh my page.
This is the first time doing it, no countdown. If that's the issue, we'll find out. Let's see. Oh, I don't have us live either. Oh, wait, no, that's because I was looking on Freename's Twitter, because we're not on Freename's Twitter. They only wanted us on YouTube.
Right, but I went to put it on mine, and it said I was already signed up. So hey, everybody, we're just doing a little housekeeping here, trying to get the.
Make sure we get as many people in here as possible.
Let's see. Let me go to my LinkedIn. Go to my LinkedIn. It's so funny that when you go to someone's LinkedIn, it shows you everything except their post. You know what I mean? Let's see. Monday Night Domains. More. I don't know if it's restreaming, Julie.
I'm only seeing things on Freename's YouTube. I'm not seeing anything on your Twitter.
Settings. Shortcuts. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can add a stream. Okay, I'm going to leave and come back.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. I'll be here.
Talk about March Madness, domains in March Madness.
I don't want to talk about March Madness.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We're not talking about March Madness. Sorry, guys. Vetoed subject. I'll cry for those who don't know. If you're watching on the replay. Big Tennessee fan here. Tennessee lost by 20 points. Not a fan. Dad is back.
But it didn't give me a chance. It didn't give me a chance to add my channels. Let's see.
If you know your login and password, I can add your channels to the stream. If you want to send me an email with those, because obviously, please do not say your usernames and passwords online. It's a terrible idea.
Oh, everyone knows that anyway. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Let me just check my profile one more time. If I check my profile, it should be there.
Sorry, guys. We're trying to fix our streaming over here. Make sure we're live on Page House Twitter. Very important.
All right. Now let me go to saved passwords, Google Password Manager, x.com. Well, you got to know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I just keep all my passwords on my Apple, and then that is the only reason I can't switch away from a MacBook ever, is because all my passwords are on my Apple, and then it just makes my life so much easier. So it gets my phone passwords and my computer passwords.
All right, I'm going to send you a mail. All right, I sent it to you. All right, everybody, welcome to Domain. What I put on my announcement for tonight's show was it is March 31st, which means tomorrow, at least here in the U.S., is April Fool's Day. I don't know if they have April Fool's Day around the world.
I don't know.
And they might just look at it and say, what do you mean April Fool's Day? The domain world usually comes out pretty strong on April Fool's Day.
Okay.
You'll have stories like .com domains for sale for 1 penny, or toys.com just sold for $2,000,
Okay.
something like that. And April Fools. And so be on the lookout for any announcements that you might get that seem too good to be true. On the other hand, some people, I can think about, there was a company, Uniregistry, that's since been sold to GoDaddy, and they never let a lead go to waste, meaning you may have inquired on a domain name like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to use all the holidays, so they would send you a message, Julie, like, hey, Julie, it's no April Fool's. You inquired about Julie.com and it's still available. So they kind of used it to send an email thinking that you might, open an April Fool's Day email. So if you want to do a little creative marketing, you want to reach out to some of the people that have inquired about domain names, you can say, no, that price that I sent you wasn't an April Fool's Day price.
I like
That's
it.
really what I wanted, So you can use it for that. But it's also the end of the first quarter. We are 1/4 of the way through the year. And as a domain investor, I have to ask myself, have I done 1/4 of my projected total sales? And I have not.
Oh, no.
So it's a good time to pivot, and it's a good time to change up what you're doing, if for no other reason, Julie, than just to kind of change it up. Kind of picture like, you walk by a store every day and you get kind of used to seeing everything in the store. And all of a sudden you walk by and it's just different. You kind of look twice, you know what I mean? So sometimes some people will change like all the prices of their domain names, drop them $200. Mm-hmm. And maybe someone's out there watching and they see it and it reminds them. Sometimes people will change their landing pages from one company to another. And you used to be able to do, especially with GoDaddy, you used to be able to have what's called a monitor. Like, hey, I'd like to buy julielovespurple.com. So I'll put a monitor on it and see if it ever becomes available or if it ever changes web servers. You know what I mean? So some people will change their landing pages to just kind of refresh them. And then maybe that'll remind someone to watch them. Some people will take all their listings down from a marketplace and then re-upload all their listings.
Just to get those notifications.
Someone will see it, think it's a new listing or something like that. So none of those things are really helping you sell your domain, like putting in the effort to find likely prospects, send out an email, send out a reach out that says, hey, Julie, I guess the most standard one is, I just wanted to let you know that this name's for sale.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good one.
It is, but I think people are kind of immune to it now.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would risk a little bit more and say, why would someone want to buy this name? And just like you're thinking that you haven't done your sales yet this year, right? Yeah. You might say, not reaching, or it's first quarter's over, not reaching your goals. How about trying a new strategy, incorporate this domain name? Be a little risky. Put yourself in their shoes, as opposed to maybe just saying this domain is available for sale.
Okay.
Today. All right, let's see if we got.
We do not. I'm still working over here.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry. We're trying to get it. It's authorized and I'm logged into your account. It's just not adding on the back end, which is not as fun. Oh, okay. Never mind. And we should be. There we go. Check on your profile and see if it's on there.
Not right now.
It is. I just got a notification.
You did?
Yep. Page.la, Freename, live.
Well, I'll take your word. There it is, live Restream.
March 31st. Cool. So hopefully we should be able to get some more people in here now, which is exciting. But yeah, I like what you were saying about with the first quarter ending, what's like the first stat you're gonna check besides just have your sales? Are you looking at like landing page clicks? Where are you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that's happened is, so there's defense and then there's offense. So on defense is, am I doing everything possible to sell all my names? What that means is, are all the names for sale at a marketplace like Afternic?
Mm-hmm.
Are all the names for sale at a marketplace like Seidu? Do I have landing pages on all the names that say this name is for sale? Please contact me. Some of you may want to turn privacy protection off. And even though that may create a bunch of spam email from people saying, we want to do your graphic design or we want to do your SEO, there's a lot of people, especially older people, that remember, hey, if you want to buy a domain, you look up the who is, and they may want to look up your who is and email you. And that's still the way that they know how to contact an owner of a domain.
Yeah.
And so you may want to say, well, I'll take the hassle of a bunch of emails in exchange for the fact that one of them may be, maybe worthwhile. The thing that we don't have, Julie, that I keep wishy got my fishy or whatever, is we really don't have a lot of places where you can just go make sales right now, like a yard sale, like a resale shop. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so we really don't have a lot of places to do that. There's a couple sites out there, but they don't seem to have a lot of volume. So that's the one thing that I hope gets better, where you could say, hey, I'm willing to sell near my cost just to take some money off the table. So the only thing you can really do is stop renewing names potentially. And for every 100 names that you don't renew, that's just like selling a name for $1,000. Because if you have 100 domains and you renew them, that would cost you $1,000.
Uh-huh.
So if you renewed those 100 domains and none of them sold in the next year, you would be out $1,000.
Right. But I don't know if that's the same thing as, it's like the girl math and domainer. Have you heard of girl math?
No.
It's like a thing where it's like, oh, I bought a dress on sale, so it was free, or so I made money kind of thing, like fake finance. Domain math is if you don't renew 100 names, you made $1,000. But I guess it all depends on if you were.
But what you have to look at is
to renew those names.
If those 100 domains, you renewed them last year, and how many of those names did you sell? The other way to look at it is, man, I'm going to renew these 100 names, and all I have to do is sell one of them for $1,000, and that'll pay for renewing all of them. So the key thing you have to ask yourself is, am I really selling 1 out of 100 names for $1,000?
I got a feature for you.
Okay.
Domainer math or real math?
Domainer math or real math? Yeah.
Domainer
math is domainer math. I'll give you some domainer math. We'll talk about fractions. In domainer math, you look at your one domain and you treat it as an integer. There we go. Remember how you always went to the first week of school in math and you learned about integers? An integer.
I think I dropped calculus before that happened.
No, this is like 4th grade math. This is like 3rd grade math. Like you had one cookie. Nice cookie there, by the way, Julie. There we go.
And my book club.
Very springy.
Thank you.
So the domainer looks at their one domain name and they say, oh my gosh, I can totally envision someone wanting to buy my domain name. So all they see is the one, okay? Their domain name. And they're like, I can picture someone buying my domain name. But real math is a fraction. You have a line underneath the one. The one is the numerator in a fraction. And underneath the fraction is the denominator of all the possible domains that can be purchased. And that's the way that you want to look at your domain names.
I see.
For some group of people, your one domain, is it 1 out of 100,000? Is it 1 out of 10,000? Or the reason a lot of people go for geodomains is they feel like, well, if you were going to buy CincinnatiElectricians.com and you were a Cincinnati electrician, even though that's a smaller market than the entire world,
It's one
at
of
least
one.
their choices might be Cincinnati Electrician, Cincinnati Electricians, maybe Cincinnati Electricians with a hyphen, without a hyphen. You know what I mean? So you shrink the available market, and so that's the domain or fraction you have to
Okay,
think.
so I would call that real math. It's real math in domains, but it's real math.
Yeah.
Because I would say I would call like domainer math with girl math is really not true, but it makes sense.
Now, if you own a one-word domain like money.com,
101.
it's the opposite. Everybody in the world would want to buy that name for $10, right?
Yeah.
So your fraction is everybody in the world over everybody in the world. So you know that name has value, right? 1 million people out of 1 million people will want to buy your name for $10. So then your job is.
Interesting. So then we can get some analytics going here.
So then you have to do is you have to raise the price to where only 30 people out of 1 million can afford to pay $10 million for money.com. And then you try to contact those 30. So the difference between a domain that has known wholesale value means that you could probably always sell it. And so your job is to sell it for more versus a speculative name that it's whether or not anyone will ever buy it. You know what I mean?
We should come up with an equation. I don't know if you guys know this, but Dad's a big math guy.
There you go.
But there's got to be a way to be like, fraction for the domain versus fractions for the amount of people that want to buy it. Carry the 1, cross the 2, dot your I's and cross your T's. That gets you like a somewhere percent of sales or what price you should list it at. I bet you can figure that out.
Well, I hear you. And a lot of people, especially with AI, are trying to build formulas to tell you about a domain name. And I don't believe you can.
Well, no, because we also like the heartfelt investment in the name and how a name makes you feel.
That's true. The other thing is AI would work to price domains if the buyers of domain were AI agents.
Okay.
So if the buyer of a name was an AI agent, then I would want to sell that AI bot my domain names, and the AI agent, how would it value domain names?
I see. I wonder if that's going to happen.
With AI metrics. But a real person doesn't want to, they want to maybe use AI metrics to see if they make a mistake. But when they start writing out that check on their company money, $1 million, you got to grab their heart and their mind.
Yeah.
Not just the fact that AI said it was worth.
Well, I will say with the invention of AI, it may not be bad to market to the AI because I'm sure there's people out there. Actually, I did it. I had this company. What should I name it? What's the domain for it? I have this much money to spend on a domain name. I want this. This is my company. What should I get? Bought, sold.
Yeah, and I think the more you're an employee of a company, the more likely you would be to say that AI has recommended this name. The more that you're the principal owner of a company and it's yours, the more that you would know that you don't want to go down with the ship. See, the thing about a domain name, you have to put yourself, and it's okay to share this with buyers if you're a domain reseller. Just remind them that they're going to say the domain name of their company every day. Every time they give it out in a text, every time they give it out in an email. And if they don't like their domain, it's going to remind them all the time that they have a bad domain. You know what I mean? Or they're going to always have to apologize for it. Like
every time we say it, they'll have to give a regret.
Like say I wasn't Joe Domains. Say I was Joe Domains Coaching, right? So I'd always have to say, now Julie, email me at paige@joedomainscoaching.com.
I know it's terrible. I'm
Joe
sorry.
Domains coaching, and I always have to say, like, it's not just, even though my company's called Joe Domains, I would have to say, email me at Joe-Domains. And you'd always have to kind of explain it. And so I think that's where, when someone says, what's a good name and what's a bad name, you have to realize that you are appealing to a person. And that's where what'll happen is AI will come up with a list of great names that could be great on a statistical basis, kind of like book knowledge versus real world knowledge. You know what I mean? So it's like the book says these are good names. And if you have some of those and the book says they're worth more than you know they're worth, you're going to want to tell people their appraised value all the time. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, AI loves this name. Did you see what AI said about this name? You know what I mean? Now, at the same point, if your name is better than what the book or the appraisal says, you're going to go, yeah, I don't use appraisal values, or I don't use AI because my name is better.
So as a domain investor, do you kind of have to make that identity for yourself, or do you do it differently based on the name? Like, do you have your entire portfolio be things that are going to be sold for above their appraisal value? That way you say, oh, I don't use appraisals. Like, do you factor that in whenever what your portfolio is whenever you're buying domains? Because I feel like if you're selling to the same market and at one point you're like, oh, this appraisal is great, but then you try and sell a different name and you're like, oh, I don't go by appraisals, and that just seems,
The way I do it, and this will feed into more than SEO's question. He asked, are you starting to see any change in Web3, or any chance of Web3 valuation models like the Rosner formula? And the Rosner formula used to say that if a search word had a number of times it was searched on Google, times what people would have to pay to rank for that keyword, that would help you value a domain. And there was a time when that was really good, because you could tell that if you had eveninggowns.com and evening gowns was searched 620,000 times around the world, mm-hmm. and the people who sold evening gowns paid $9 per click, that would give you an idea that that domain might be worth more than maybe ringtones.com, even though ringtones might be searched 1 million times. That's only worth 20 cents to people, because you can't you see. And so it was a way to take into account those two things. So actually, more than that, I don't see that type of formula coming up for Web3 domains, because you can't quantify passion. And in Web3 domains, you're buying membership in a community, and you're buying membership with a completely different group of people. Web3, degen, rebels, rebel scum, you know what I mean? And they're going to value things differently, because they may value a trendy word more than a regular word. So if you used a formula that's taking its old school grandpa, valuation, and then you're trying to sell it to a new school group of people, you really can't do it. But I think, Julie, you can speak to this. This is where brands, when they talk about being authentic, there's usually no formula, right, for a brand to be authentic, right?
Like
you can't just say, like, we read the book. Go ahead.
There's no stat for momentum in sports.
But there's no like, there was a time when I actually worked for a skateboard company. They had skateboards, skate decks, and jeans and stickers. And their pros, their team, and their owner, they knew what would sell in the skate shops. You know what I mean? They could never go sell in Target.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that just wasn't on their brand. And they could never, there's certain things that you might think classically that they could do, but it was more important that they stayed true to their brand. And so that level of authenticity is hard, I think, for AI to figure out.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what makes it hard for the metrics. But I will say that you can use AI to get prospects and then apply your thinking to those prospects. So you may, if you could ask AI, say, a lot of people, I used to subscribe to the dictionary.com, and it would give me like a word of the day, a new word of the day. So say, Julie, I've sent you some links before from the trend newsletters I get that say, it's an affiliate trend newsletter. And they're like, oh, ginkgo biloba is a really popular herb. You know what I mean? Telling the affiliate marketers, hey, build a site for this. People are really searching for this. You know what I mean? This type of skincare or this type of herbal medicine. You know what I mean?
Ashwagandha.
There you go. And so they're staying on top of that. And so I would use that to register domains to be like, okay, well, those people may want to find, whoops, I lose you. They might want to find a good domain. And so it's hard to quantify. But if you did say to ChatGPT or some AI, can you give me 30 examples, if it was updated, of words that are being used now that weren't used 2 months ago or something? Then it would at least give you a selection that you could run through and see, what do I think about that? Or what because the other thing about domains, and I'll finish with this because I know we have a short show tonight, is there's desire and there's scarcity. So you want your name to be rare and that there's not many like it. But just because it's rare doesn't mean it's valuable. It's also got to have some desire. So you can get a name that's the definition of a type of bacteria. And it's like, oh, this name is an exact name of a certain bacteria or disease. Or some, well, E. coli would be great, but if it's mitochondria biofungus, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's the exact name of this thing. But does anyone want it? Even though it is the exact name of something, it's rare. It's one of one. It's a keyword. You know what I mean? Does someone want it? At the same point, you can have words that have a lot of desire, but there's so many substitutes for them, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where in any industry, you know them. But the last thing I'll finish up with, we got an interesting glimpse of why so many domain names are being registered this week, Julie.
Why?
Why, you ask?
Why?
So I was doing some email marketing, and I was listening to this company that was talking about sending emails. And if you send too many emails from your email, then the whole internet will tag you as spam. And once you get tagged as spam, your readability in the inbox won't be as great. So this is a company that does this professionally all day, every day for hundreds of thousands of email addresses. So they said, if you want to do a good campaign, say you want to send out 10,000, you want to get 500 prospects a month to sign up. You need to send out 10,000 emails, and each email address should only send out like 40 emails a day. So therefore, you need 200 email addresses.
Yeah.
In 30 days, so you need, and each domain, you should only have 5 emails on that domain. If you have more than 5, it's going to tag you. So they're like, if you want to get 500 prospects, send out 20,000, you need to buy 10 domains. So my ears perked up when we see those registration statistics of what people are registering every day.
How much?
A lot of it, I believe, is email marketers. And what they're doing is they're putting in what they recommend people to do is, like for us with Monday Night Domains. Say we were going to send out a bunch of emails for Monday Night Domains. We don't want to mess up our MondayNightDomains.com email. Because if we somehow got tagged as spam, or someone who received an email reported us as spam, we would ruin our whole email address.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we need for real live emails. So what we would do, this is what this company recommended, is you type in Monday Night Domains and you get variations like Monday Domains Evening, just anything that's kind of close to what you're saying, but isn't that exact one. So when I sit there and I think, why is .com still growing or still staying the same?
That's why.
You know, when domains are losing value, we see the market weaker. Why? And so this gave me another reason why each day thousands of names are being registered purely for the purpose of sending out emails. And so, and I think for most of them, they probably do want a .com as opposed to the new GTLDs. Yeah. They may have tried a new GTLD and then found out that their deliverability wasn't as great. So they went back to a long .com. So when you look on what gets registered each day and you look at them and you go, why would someone want these names? If you see like 10 of them in a row that are all related, it could be because they're buying them for email.
Okay, we got one question and then we got to get going. Is there a website to see the resale price of TLDs or SLD? I'm assuming he means Web3.
I should price the TLDs that I have. Is there a website to see the resale prices of TLDs or SLDs and what they sold for? We really don't. We're kind of in what's called an open ocean environment, meaning, to use a historical reference, we are Christopher Columbus. If you have a TLD, you're sailing across the ocean, you're the lead boat. There's no one to follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know of private sales that have been done for 5 figures. I know of private sales that have been done for 4 figures. And the other thing is that most TLDs by a lot of providers other than Freename are owned by the platform. And Freename's one of the few ones. Thank you to our sponsor, Freename, tonight. It lets you own your own TLD, which means you're in charge. You can sell it, but there isn't really a market yet. But I'll tell you this. Originally, when people didn't know how to value domain names, the one thing you can't argue with is revenue. The reason that people know how much a house is worth is they know what you can rent a house for. And if a house can be rented for $3,000 a month, and that's $36,000, and you can usually sell it for 10 times its rent. Whether people like it or don't like it, you would buy it just to get that revenue. So if you are marketing your TLD and you wanted to sell it, one of the things that people are going to ask is, well, how many SLDs, how many domain names have you sold in your TLD? And even if the number's small, you just don't want it to be 0. You don't want to go 0. Well, it's because I haven't marketed it yet. Someone would rather hear, well, I haven't done much marketing, but I've still sold 20 TLDs for about $600. You know what I mean? And at least they can think, hey, I'm going to, if I just don't do anything like this person, maybe I'll at least make that much. So while we're trying to explore what something's worth, the one thing you can't argue with is revenue. So I would say that marketing your TLD, having some revenue from what your sales are, is the basis of value. And then even if you ask a price that has nothing to do with your revenue, at least it's there, right? At least it's there. It's something, you know what I mean?
It's some sort of number.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds good. I think we are over our time for tonight. So I will see you all next week, same time, same place. And
See y'all. Have a great week.